Today, I want to compare the cameras between the iPhone SE 2020 and the iPhone 8. Same exact specs, except one big difference. This has an upgraded chip. Does that make it better? Let's find out. If you're looking for tech reviews that give you the information that you actually care about, then hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. The second Apple announced and released the iPhone SE 2020, people started saying, well, what makes it so different from the iPhone 8? They certainly look exactly the same, and the specs for the most part are exactly the same, except one glaring difference between this, and that's Apple's A13 Bionic chip. It's supposed to make the phone process faster for day-to-day activities, but also other improvements like camera processing, thus making your photos look better. I took a bunch of pictures with both of these, and today we're going to take a look and see if you can tell the difference, which is better, and which you prefer. So for the first part of this test, I'm not going to tell you which is which. I am going to point out the differences between the two, and I'll let you decide which one you think you like better before I tell you which phone it is. As a matter of fact, why don't you comment down below which one you prefer or like better, A or B? And then I'll let you know. Don't skip ahead and cheat. Just let me know if you think you like the newer one or the older one better. Now, I also took some videos with the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera, and I'll mix those in with these as well in a minute, and I won't tell you which until later in the video. So in this first photo, we have a wide-open shot, someone sitting on a bench a little further away. You got one poor little tree there in the front. You've got the little bit of the sky in the background through the trees, and as you can see right off the bat, picture A is a little bit brighter, gives you a little bit more dynamic range. The one on the right has a little bit more contrast. It's a little darker, which could end up hurting the photo if it gets any darker of a situation. Personally, I like the little bit of the greener look on picture B, but picture A overall just is a much better picture in my opinion, and you could definitely do more with it. Once you start getting a little bit too dark in photos and you try to brighten it up, you're going to start seeing a lot of noise. Now, as far as zooming in, you pretty much get the same results with both cameras. They do start falling apart a little bit. In this instance, I actually prefer a little bit more of picture B than I do of A, just for the simple fact that zooming in cuts a little bit more of that darkness out, and you get to the brighter portion of the person sitting on the bench. But all in all, at the end of the day, we're still talking about limitations when it comes to the camera specs, and the processing can really only do so much. Once you start pixel peeping, you're going to start noticing a big difference between both of them. I don't think one will be better than the other. This next photo was actually one of my favorites that I took of the day. You'll see here a flower kind of hanging down off a larger branch behind it, and you'll again take notice right away that picture A is a little bit brighter, while picture B is a little bit darker, getting a little bit more saturation. Now, some people prefer that look in picture B than they do over picture A. And both have a nice bokeh in the background, closer on this shot, so it's going to offer that based upon the camera specs in this model, whether you got the updated SE or not. Now, I did notice one thing here, that on camera A, it did focus a little more on the back end of the flower. That's my fault. Don't blame that on the camera. User error all the way. So if we take a look at the focused portions of this, they both look really good. I think this close-up shot does a good justice for this camera. I don't think it has anything to do with processing power at the end of the day. This is just the specs of the camera, taking a good photo. I want to break it up a little bit, and I'm going to play video from the front-facing camera on one, and video from the front-facing camera on the other. First one up, of course, is camera A. So this is a test of the SE 2020 versus the original iPhone 8 when it comes to front-facing cameras, as far as the quality, the audio, coloring, and whatnot. And I can definitely see a difference. It's something I'm going to have to check out in post, but I just wanted to test out the front cameras. I'll do the rear cameras coming up shortly, but this is just a front video test between the 8 and the SE 2020, and they look pretty good. They both look good. iPhone 8, man, not a bad phone. So those are both videos. First thing right off the bat, I noticed camera A was brighter than camera B, which is, again, that theme that we're going to see here. And I felt like the audio in camera B was just a little bit quieter. I don't know, is that the iPhone SE 2020? Does it have some sort of noise canceling? I don't know. Or was camera A the SE 2020 and it's got a brighter microphone just because it's newer? I don't know. We're going to have to find that out. But that was the front-facing camera. Let's go ahead and get back to some more photos. Now this is a longer view of a stream. You got the continuation of the stream going all the way in the background. You do have the trees on both sides. You got the darker bottom along with the brighter top of the sky in the background. Now this is where I was talking about the camera A maybe having a little bit of an issue with a brighter area. Would it start falling apart and overexposing? I think it does a really good job keeping everything copacetic. I really like camera B's look here. Again, you do have to be careful because you start losing it as it gets a little bit darker down there. But I think you could save a little bit of this in post, that it's not gonna be too noisy in those darker areas. But I actually like the way this photo turned out. To be completely honest with you, if I wasn't gonna edit these at all and I had a shot like this, I think I would prefer B over A. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look, shot from the rear of the camera, to see if you can tell any big difference as far as how it handles video. So here's the rear cameras on both phones, and we're gonna get close to some stuff, see how they do in lower light. I can see a little difference between the two of them. I don't know if it's anything that's worthwhile as far as the processor handling differently, but it definitely is a little different, and I don't know how much has to do with the processor, to be completely honest with you. I'm sure it affects it, but both look pretty good when it goes up to the brighter sky, and then you bring it back down. Very good. I'm really intrigued by this tree right here. I think both did an extremely good job. Camera B, of course, being a little bit darker, audio being a little bit quieter, more noise cancellation. Shouldn't be. I thought they were exactly the same. But which one is that? Is that just an older one, or is that the newer one? We'll get to that in a moment. But that one part where I pointed up towards the sky, camera B did get a little darker with the trees and the leaves and whatnot to get a little bit more focus on that sky and compensate for that. But you lost a little bit of quality in the video down below of the screen where it got a little bit darker. Camera A did a better job kind of keeping it copacetic going up. And the skies still look decent as you're looking up at it, and you didn't sacrifice any of the photo down below or the video portion down below to make that big of a difference and really go, oh wow, it's getting kind of dark down there. So that's the rear-facing camera on both of these. So which was which? Which did you guess? Is camera A the iPhone 8 and camera B the iPhone SE 2020? Well, if that's what you guessed, then you were wrong. Camera A is the iPhone SE 2020, and camera B is the iPhone 8. So if you guessed that right, or you knew that you thought the processor did a better job brightening up the photos, then bravo to you, or you just used them and you realized that's exactly what it's doing. So I think the processor in the iPhone SE 2020 helps bring those photos up just a little bit brighter where they need to be, and give you an option if you want to tone it down a little bit. Like I said, once you start getting in darker situations, you're going to notice that it affects it a little bit more, and you're going to have a lot more noise. Whereas it got to a brighter situation, I wasn't sure if the iPhone SE 2020 was going to start blowing out the photo, where I thought maybe the iPhone 8 does a better job, which would be completely confusing if it did, but alas, it did not. The iPhone SE 2020 did a great job. Now that you know which is which, and maybe which you thought you preferred, let's go ahead and take a look at a few more photos, and I kind of want to do some even darker shots here to see the differences between the two and see how they stand up between the newer processor compared to the older processor, because if the newer one is lightening up the photos a little bit more and the video, is it going to take better pictures when it's even darker? Or is it going to get worse? So let's deep dive into it right now. So these photos were taken at about 9 o'clock at night. Out front, I did have, obviously, the garage light on, giving it a little bit of backlight. But for the most part, what you're seeing beyond the vehicle is not what the human eye is seeing. So Both photos did a great job. Now, obviously, now that you know which is which, the iPhone SE on the left does have a little bit of a darker tone. Now, I think it's because of the way that I just took the picture. Obviously, I didn't take these at the same time. It is a little bit closer, so maybe that's the difference between the two. But for the most part, they both turned out really well considering how dark it is outside. The iPhone 8 did a good job, and I'm only guessing because maybe the light in the background helped it out. So this may not be a total help for you deciding which is better and which isn't. However, the next photo might help with that. So these photos were taken at about 9:05, a few minutes later, from out front. Barely any lights at all. There is the window going into our house to the right there. But for the most part, this is it. The only thing that we're relying on is any light that might be left from the sky, which at this point is not that much. The iPhone SE, I think, did a great job going truer to the colors that we're looking at. This is like a bluish turquoise on our new table in the back and a gray. And you can see that the iPhone 8, honestly, this just looks like an underdeveloped picture. I don't know what it's trying to do. I'm not even going to zoom in because, to be completely honest with you, it just gets noisy and pixelated on both of them, so that doesn't really help. The iPhone SE clearly did a better job here in this low light picture. Are they good? By any means, no. Are they usable? Probably not. But depending on where you're at, if you have a little bit of light, you probably are going to see a much better result from the iPhone SE 2020. So now I am at the exact point where I see many YouTubers are after they evaluated the pictures, and they say to you, well, it's up to you on what it is that you want to choose, and it's your preference. Well, to be completely honest with you, I'm not going to go that route. Yes, it is a little bit preference. However, the processor in your phones is extremely important with how your photography and your videos are going to come out. Just because you see a spec with a high megapixel number for photos, you think, oh, it must be better. Well, because a camera is so limited inside a smartphone compared to a DSLR or even a point-and-shoot camera, the processor needs to do everything that that lens is doing. The camera lens can't do that. So you're going to have to rely on that processor to do that. So why Apple has a megapixel number that is lower than everybody else? It's because they rely on the processor to do the work. They're not going to bump up the megapixel number if the processor can't handle it and give you a good photo. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, comment down below. I'd be more than happy to have a discussion with you about it or do an update video. But at the end of the day, the SE is a hell of a phone. Is it a huge improvement over the iPhone 8? I personally think it is. There's a lot that it does have to offer, and I do have a review coming out on this very shortly. In the meantime, if you want to check out my first thoughts on this, and as I go through it, click this video right here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I got a ton of content coming out. You guys take it easy, and I'll see you in the next video.